Hi, I'm Harriet Rogers, Wigs and Makeup Manager for Northern Ballet. Here with me is our lovely dancer, Miki Akuta. She's going to model for me, and today we're going to do a demo and a step-by-step of how to achieve one of the mermaid looks for our upcoming show, The Little Mermaid. The look we're going for is very light, very airy. We want them all to look quite ethereal, almost like beautiful creatures as opposed to a normal sort of stage makeup. So Miki's got no makeup on at the moment, and what I'm going to do first is I'm going to just brush her brows through, because what we want to do is take away the eyebrows from being so dark. You can do this using modelling wax, which is available at lots of theatrical makeup shops. Kryolan do one. We won't use this on our dancers for this makeup, partly because they're going to be on the stage so much, the lights are so hot, it's just going to melt and move. So for them, we're just going to use a build-up of grease paint. This is Supracolor. Again, it's a special effects sort of product that you use for theatrical makeup. And what we're going to do is, using a really small, almost concealer-sized brush, I'm just going to work this colour through the brows, just to build up. So what you would do with modelling wax is you'd wax all over the eyebrows and flatten them. And you can also use a Pritt stick, anything like that, like a glue stick, to sort of flatten them down. But this is another method that I think is going to be more appropriate for our show. And we're just light movements, running that all the way over the eyebrow. So one coat isn't going to be enough, just because Miki's got darker hair. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the colour step by step using translucent setting powder, which is just a really clear powder. We dust that off our brush and we just work that through the colour we've just put on. So it's not going to look like anything at the moment, because we're just building it up just to get that coverage. And the more we add, the deeper the colour will come. So once you've done both eyebrows, we're going to use the same product, the grease paint in white, and just going to create almost like a mask shape going across the eye area. So this is just to keep it all very light. Touch down the nose using the width of your brush as a guide of the shape that you want. And we're just keeping it very light with the movements, because we're going to try and blend this all in to the skin tone afterwards. So Miki, if you look up for me there, I'm just going to run this colour really lightly under the eye as well. So very gently around the eye area. Working along the shape of the eye, blending it up. And now's the time just to check for symmetry, because obviously once we've powdered this and blended the colour away a bit, we don't really want to move it and change it too much, because then we'll be doing the detail on the eyes. So what we want to do then is we're going to use a little bit of MAC Studio Fix fluid, which we're going to use a tiny amount of, just to blend the edges away. So again, I'm going to go in with a really soft brush, use a little bit of the colour, and just work that up and along the edges, because we want to look at like it's blending into her skin, so it's part of her. And this, just using a slightly deeper shade, I think this shade is NC10, which is a very light one. It's just going to look like a progression into a natural skin tone, so the contrast of white isn't so strong then. And we'll bring this all the way down over the cheekbone area, so we get that lovely light point. And this can go all the way up to the hairline on Miki. Again, we're going to bring it along the cheekbone, all these areas that we want to be lighter, to create the depth to the face on stage. And then we'll set that with our translucent powder all over to make sure that it will hold for the whole show then. So then we're going to go in with our base colour. This is a French Connection UK shade. It's called Leprechaun. and this is an eye cream, so I'm using something creamier as a base. It's more because the colour is so appropriate for what we're using, but you can also just use a shadow. And we're going to start with a base colour coming in to the inner corner of the eye. And what we want to do is make the eye area look as big as possible. So we're just going to work this along the eye area here. So we're going to just extend the inner corner of the eye a little, just to create that creature look again. So we don't want it to look like a beauty makeup. We want it to build up and be something more dramatic. So we're just going to kind of play with the actual shape of the eye in that way. So we're going to use a MAC eyeshadow, a Dazzle shadow called Can't Stop, Don't Stop. This one's really nice because the Dazzle shadows have a really lovely glittery effect. And so it's all going to work towards our mermaid look. So we're going to work that over the top of the shade that we put on there, just to give that shimmeriness. And take it up over the eyebrow. So then I'm going to go in with a glittery pink MAC pigment. This one called Reflects Very Pink. So we're just going to use a really tiny, tiny amount of this and work this along that inner corner. So if you ever feel like the glitter's going to fall and you don't want it to kind of transfer to the bottom of the face, if you just hold a tissue up like this, or get Miki just to hold it like that for me, it just stops any unwanted spillage down the face where you don't want to place glitter. And we're just going to dab this really lightly along the colour that we've already done. And up into the brow. The pigment goes on very strong, so it's better to start a little bit lighter, and then you can always build up the colour as you go. So to create the outer eye shape, I'm going to use another Dazzle shadow by MAC. This one's called Try Me On, and it's got a lovely green tone to it. So we're just going to use this to blend with the other shade. I'm going to use a really flat pointed brush. You'd normally use something like this for maybe you're doing your eyebrow filling or as a lip liner. I'm going to actually use it because we want to create a really strong shape coming up here at the edge of the eye, because we want everything to blend away. So first things you want to do is just extend the line from the edge of the eye there. So create your shape first, and then we're going to just blend the colour up from there. So if you wanted to do this for a fancy dress look or anything like that, you might want to go a little bit lighter, but because it's for theatre, we just take the colour a little bit stronger. And again, don't worry about your edges because we'll blend those away in a second. Using our fluffy blending brush again, we're just going to blend that colour away, soften it all, mix it in with the other shade that's there. We're going to bring that up again along the edge of the eyebrow, just to keep that covered, and blend away up into the hairline there. Keeping it all nice and soft. Lovely. So if you just take the tissue away there. So then going back in with our Try Me On Dazzle shadow and our flat brush, we're just going to really lightly work under the waterline of the eye. So if you look up there for me, Miki, I'm just going to really lightly dust this just to bring the colour to the bottom of the eye. So using a MAC Extra Dimension Skin Finish highlighter, this shade is Soft Frost, so it's got this really lovely translucent sort of shimmer to it. We're just going to work that up to the edges, just to blend and keep the whole thing nice and shimmery. But we're also going to bring that onto the white of the cheekbone here, so it will really highlight that area. And I'm just using a really soft brush here, but you can also use a highlighting powder brush or a blusher brush. So something like this, especially one that's pointed, is really useful. You can just really blend that colour across. And it will just pick up the light then. Then we want to create a little bit of definition for the cheekbone. So what we're going to do is use our Can't Stop, Don't Stop again, the Dazzle shadow, and really lightly, we don't want it to be heavy, and you can always build it up and add more. We're just going to run this colour along under the cheekbone, just to bring it out a little bit more there. Do a little bit up the temple. So just to create a little bit of depth to the face. So then I'm going to use a white Kryolan eyeliner pencil. So this is just going to work in the waterline inside of Miki's eye. So if you look up there for me, so really lightly just run this shade along the waterline. And this will just help the eye look nice and open. Does that feel okay? Yeah. And then we'll use a really light black eyeliner under the waterline, just to kind of get that shape and definition. So if you wanted to use a sort of green or a turquoise liner as well, this will be good. We're using black for our makeup just because of the distance from the audience to the dancers. You just need as much definition to the face as possible. And then if you close your eyes there, Miki, we're going to just run the black along the top of the lash line there, really lightly, almost dotting along the top lashes, just to help that shape come out of the eye. I'm going to use a bit of black mascara, and we're just going to do the lashes there, so if you look down. So we don't want to go too heavy with the black with our makeup, just because we want to keep it quite nice and light and soft. But you can take this as heavy as you like, if you prefer to have a lot of mascara. So we're just going to go in with some eyelashes. So you can go as bold as you like with these. You can go really dramatic if you want. We're just going to use some lengthening ones here. So just work your glue along. And just let that cool off a little bit and dry off. If you get tacky. So if you just look down for me there, Miki, but keep your eye open. And open your eye for me. So we get that lovely feathery look. Okay, and look down again there. And open your eye there, Miki. Do you feel comfortable? So next I'm going to use a product called Studio Eye Gloss by MAC. This is Pearl Varnish, the shade, and this is just like a really sticky, creamy eye base, but we're actually going to use it as a base to help our glitter stay in place. So it is going to go everywhere anyway, because glitter always does, but this just helps kind of contain it to the area that we want. So I'm going to use a really small brush for this, just to be really fine. So if you close your eyes there, Miki, and I'm just going to work that into the inner corner here, but just dabbing it on. It's going to want to lift the product away. So we'll just dab this on really lightly. And then using our MAC glitter, we're just going to dab that in place then, over that stickiness. And this will really catch the light. And you can go as strong as you like with your glitter. Take it all over the whole eye area. Just use a slight powder brush as well, just so it goes on very soft. Spreads out a bit there. And then we're going to use that just right up to the hairline here, to the edges. We want that glitter. And this glitter's so reflective, so as Miki moves on stage, hopefully it will really catch the light. Really pretty. So we also have another glitter, which has just got some really big pieces in, which we're going to work up and over that. So if you've had any glitter fall underneath, we'll just dust that away with a really big powder brush. But because we want the whole thing to be really nice and sparkly anyway, we're not too worried if it's fallen a bit. So for the lips, we're going to go in with a shade called Rose Dipped by MAC. This is a metallic lipstick, so it's going to look really nice. It's going to work with what we need. So we'll just work this. It's got a lovely shimmer to it. And if you want to use lip liner, if you want like a really strong tone to your lip, you want to get that definition, then you just go in with the lip liner first. Just a really fine lip brush, help us get that shape. So we'll just work that all the way over. And if Miki, just rub your lips together, that's just going to work that colour around, and that's a really lovely shimmery shade. We've also got another lip colour, Kiko, that we're going to use, which is another sort of shimmery metallic one, and we'll just work that over the top of that just to get that real shine. And just rub your lips together there, Miki. But that's pretty much it.